The name's Dibney. Ralph Dibney. Always wanted to do that. What's up, everybody? This is Warhawk Beyond 2040 in the house, once again bringing to you another edition of the Flash Season 6 review series, and today I'm going to be talking about Episode 6 entitled License to Elongate. And, you know, this episode was just straight up funny, at times very goofy, very, very corny, and the James Bond 007 puns and the whole sophistication and class and elegance that 007 brings, it's just funny, really. And it was actually really good to see Ralph Dibney trying to channel in his inner 007, and I'll tell you what, he rocks the suit and bow tie right down to a T, just like Daniel Craig. Even at times he kind of looked like a young Daniel Craig. And Hartley Sawyer, he absolutely owned this episode, and Grant Gustin, he was just absolutely hilarious in this episode. And that's what I've always liked about The Flash. He can be serious, he can be funny, he's got such a well balance to his character, and I just like the fact that even though Crisis is getting closer and closer, I just like the fact that these guys could just let loose and just have a bit of fun. And this episode was exactly that. It was a lot of fun. And with that all said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Episode 6, License to Elongate. So this episode starts with Nash Wells leading Team Flash to the underground tunnel that he's been digging in, and explains to the team that the Monitor is nothing more than a fraud, and he plans to try and expose him. So we've been seeing, for a couple of episodes, we've been seeing Nash Wells trying to dig his way through this giant door. We don't know what's behind this door, but we know it's something to do with the Monitor. So Barry attempts to phase through the door, but doesn't succeed because the whole door is laced with Eternium. Nash explains that he might be able to find an artifact that can help him break the door down, which is a UV gun. So it looks like to me that this weapon that Nash is talking about could be the one that could help defeat the Monitor, or so he claims anyway. So Allegra finds Nash, who explains that he is a doppelganger of Harrison Wells, and he asks her for help in finding the gun. Allegra agrees to help, while also processing the whole concept of the multiverse. Nash, of course, accidentally reveals that Barry is the Flash, and he plans on killing the Monitor. You see, every time the Flash's secret identity is revealed, everyone gets all upset and says, how could Barry keep something like this from me? And, you know, one thing I've always found quite funny in the Arrowverse, especially with the Flash and Arrow, not so much Supergirl. Supergirl seems to do a pretty good job in the whole secret identity in the department. But with the Flash and Green Arrow, it's like, oh hey Barry, oh hey Oliver. It's almost like the secret identity rule just goes completely out the window. And at the time when they did this, it was quite annoying, but now it's just got to the point where it's just absolutely funny. It's like, oh, Barry's the Flash, okay, how could he keep this from me? So it is quite funny, but you know, it is what it is. So Allegra doesn't want to help Nash anymore, fair enough, but she later has a change of heart and returns and Nash suspects that she's nervous about using her powers of fear of becoming like Ultraviolet, who we do see return in this episode. She realises this is true and agrees to help Nash open the door. Nash thanks Allegra for her help and says that she reminds him of someone. Very, very cryptic from our very own Wells. So it could be possible that we might see Allegra be part of Team Flash. Probably wouldn't surprise me. I think the only person who hasn't joined Team Flash yet is probably someone's dog. But, you know, it's all good. We also see Chester's energy is fully restored and he finds himself alone in Star Labs, where he learns about his own death by reading his own obituary. Poor guy. It's nothing worse than waking up and finding out that if you've actually died. So Cecile agrees to help Chester get back into society, and he asks for her advice on how to ask out this girl that he's been talking about, Natalie. So this whole ordeal doesn't go down very well, and Cecile places a jitters to go order so Natalie can deliver it to Chester, and she'll theoretically be able to read her emotions. And it's a complete disaster, and Cecile later apologises and reveals that she read Natalie's emotions wrong because she was so insecure about her own trajectory in life. Chester decides that they should both embrace their true selves, and he asks Natalie out. But he doesn't get the answer he wanted, but the fact that he did it, he's very proud of himself. Good for you. So Cecile gives Chester her business cards for her new business, and then tells Chester that he's welcome at Star Labs anytime. So that was really nice. So it was funny to see that, so I really liked that a lot. So kind of like takes your mind off the whole crisis thing, so this was really good to see that. So moving very, very swiftly on, Barry makes an official Elongated Man emblem for Ralph, for which he hopes to eventually give to him at a planned press conference the next day. So all throughout this episode, Barry is, in a way, giving Ralph the key to the city as Central City's official protector. So he's preparing him to take his place for when he eventually disappears in the crisis. And, you know, the thing with Elongated Man, he's got his powers, he's got his suit, he's got his name, but he's yet to have his own official emblem. So for Barry to do this for him, I think it's really good of him. So Ralph is called out of town to do a disposition tied to Sue's disappearance, and Barry decides to go with him. Barry, thinking that he is going to disappear, this could be his last chance of him and Ralph working together, so he goes with him. They pull up to a fancy gala where they will track down someone who might have been the last person to have recently seen Sue. So it's quite funny, you see the pair of them all dressed up in tuxedos with bow ties in full 007 mode, and this scene just reminded me so much of, I don't know, one of the old Sean Connery Bond films or something out of Casino Royale. You know, there was just so much class and sophistication. I mean, it could practically be dripping on your screens, and it was just absolutely hilarious. So they go inside and they approach a very posh lady who quickly spots them and that they're both lying about who they say they really are. So it's quite funny, you see Ralph walking and says, "The name's Dibney, Ralph Dibney," and Barry's trying to do the same, but it just comes across more goofy. He goes, "Alan, Barry." So it is quite funny to see that. But Ralph manages to swipe the lady's VIP ticket off her. Very smooth. Very 007. So Ralph and Barry meet the owner of the gala, Remington Meister. I swear it sounds like a James Bond name. Sounds like a James Bond villain's name. Ralph asks about Sue, which quickly flusters Meister. He says that Sue isn't on the guest list and grows suspicious about Barry and Ralph. Oh boy. Barry suggests that they leave, but Ralph thinks they need to stay put, especially because the party is an auction for criminals. Barry suggests they suit up and bust a party, but Ralph disagrees and says, look, this is my case, and we're going to do it my way. No costumes, nothing. Go Ralph! So Ralph breaks into the building's computer while Barry uses super speed to search the entire building for Sue. Meister then electrocutes both Ralph and Barry alongside Ultraviolet. The two of them wake up tied together in a meta-dampening chair, and Meister and Ultraviolet unveil their evil laser ray. This laser ray, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that time in, I think was it Goldfinger, where James Bond was strapped to the table and you see this laser cutting through everything. And, you know, I'm surprised nobody said that to these two. I don't expect you to talk, I expect you to die. So I was expecting that, but it didn't happen. Barry apologises for doubting Ralph and reveals his plan to give him the emblem. Ralph tells Barry that both parts of their identities are worth saving. Oh, it's so good. So cute. They eventually break out and subdue the laser gun, and Barry says they should both suit up. Meister begins his auction, which includes an array of missiles called the Ring of Fire. God, these James Bond puns. My God. He points the missiles at the Central City just as Barry pretends to drunkenly stumble on stage. Tell you what, Grant Gustin's just funny at acting drunk. It's just absolutely funny. And he and Ralph then begin to fight Ultraviolet, and there was a line there I just couldn't stop laughing. Barry says, God, I love Mortal Kombat. And because Ultraviolet does look like a villain out of Mortal Kombat, she reminds me of Kitana with the long black hair and that mask covering half of her face. So I literally just burst out laughing when he said, I love Mortal Kombat. And the only thing missing was Shao Kahn's deep voice saying, Round 1, fight. And the other thing that they should have had at the end was, Barry Allen wins. So it's quite hilarious to see that. So while Ralph and Ultraviolet are going at it, Meister turns the missiles on, and through an elaborate array of stunts, Barry shuts off the missiles and incapacitates Meister. Well done. The next day, after, the Flash publicly presents Ralph with the Elongated Man symbol and christens him as one of the newest heroes of Central City. This was a really good scene. Ralph addresses the public and promises to defend Central City till the day he dies. Yeah, this scene, I really thought this was a great scene, and you could really see, I've said this before from the very beginning, you know, Elongated Man, even Ralph Dibny in particular, he's come such a long way from being the bum detective who always constantly cracks stupid jokes to becoming a real serious hero in his own right. So this was such a great scene, and you could see Barry getting all choked up, and even Joe as well, because they all know what could possibly happen. So this was a really good scene. And afterwards, he then calls up Barry, and he and Joe publicly celebrate Barry for his work and give him the Medal of Honor. Now this was a really great scene. If they ever decided to end the Flash for good, I'm not really sure how they could do it, but the last scene I would love to see is they present him some sort of statue or some sort of award for all his services of being a hero, like a war hero. I think that would be an amazing way to end the show, or even finally introduce the iconic Flash Museum that we've seen in the future a couple of times. But this is a whole other different conversation for another time. So the last shot we see in this episode is we see Ralph meeting with Iris and shows her that someone with the same logo as the people who kidnapped Ultraviolet was at the party. So she leaves to find out more, and Ralph is attacked by Ramsey, and that's how the episode ends. So overall, a very fun episode, and I like the way it's ended. it kind of said to me that the fun's over now. Let's get back to business as usual. So this was really, really good to see that. I thought Hartley Sawyer was absolutely hilarious in this episode. He really owned this one. Grant Gustin was equally as funny. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. This was probably one of my favourites of this season. So with that all said, I'm going to leave this here for all of you. Did you have any funny moments? Or did you have any moments you didn't like? You know what to do. Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see you all next time. So till then, take care everybody.